standing in ninth place is where they finished last season and is disappointing to their fans, who've shown their disapproval by staying away. But the 25,000 regulars must have sympathy for coach Emiliano Mondonico, who's had to endure a nightmare run of injuries. Key defender Robert Jani, the influential Croatian, has missed 11 Serie A games. Former Parma player Marco Ossio has hardly featured, nor has midfield colleague Gianluca Sordo. And the off-field problems of striker Carlos Aguilera have come to a head, the club releasing him from his contract to return home to Uruguay. The scorer of 45 Serie A goals during his turbulent time in Italy, he's not made the starting lineup at all this season, and his goal touch has been badly missed. The silky skills of compatriot Enzo Francescoli were also missed for 10 games because of injuries and World Cup duties. But happily, he's back and has scored some classy and vital goals recently. That's just as well because the golden supply from Andrea Silenzi has dried up. His 12 in 14 games before Christmas had him proudly heading the Serie A charts. Since then, just one goal in 9 league appearances. Even so, Torino will be ruining his absence today through suspension. Last weekend's yellow card forcing him to sit this one out. With all his problems, coach Mondonico has had to look to the youngsters. And here at least he's got something to smile about. Sandro Cois is setting a superb example. And under-21 international colleague Benito Carbone has also done well. It's also been a pretty traumatic time for the Inter faithful. This defeat against Lazio just 3 weeks ago, signaling the end of Osvaldo Bagnoli's reign as coach. The veteran goalkeeper Walter Zenga also took some stick after this match for his part in Lazio's injury time winner. But at least he kept his job. Well, for the time being, anyway. Bagnoli will have expected more from his goalkeeper and from £5.5 million striker Dennis Bergkamp. The Dutchman has shown a magic touch in the club's UEFA Cup run, with goals galore. But his Serie A total is only 7, which includes just a miserable 3 from open play. Can he explode back into top gear today? Inter have relied heavily instead on little Ruben Sosa. 13 goals from him so far, 5 in the last 6 games, and most of them spectacular. Will we see the Sosa wing dip today as Inter go for their first win in 5 games? Well, history favours them slightly, although Torino did earn a golden straw at the San Siro back in October. Inter, though, had the best of things last season. Ruben Sosa scoring both home and away as Torino were beaten twice. Can they make amends today? Join us after the break for the whole match live.
Peugeot 306 drives the imagination.
What'll you be doing this weekend? Digging the garden? Oh. Doing a spot of DIY? Going for a spin in the country? Or will you be glued to the box? Or just going out with a few friends and simply relaxing? The Territorial Army. Phone 0345 300 111.
Did you hear about the trouble on the first floor?
Why? Have you heard something?
Morrison's out.
You sure? I thought he was here for life.
He's, retiring.
I never thought he'd retire.
Neither did he.
There There may be trouble ahead, but while there's moonlight and music and love and romance, let's face the music and dance. Let's face the music and dance.
Does he know something we don't?
I don't know.
You needn't worry if your life changes. Allied Dunbar financial plans adapt to help you cope with the unexpected. Allied Dunbar, for the life you don't yet know.
Why do you think builders bought almost 500,000 doors from Jewson last year?
Have you seen the Jewson prices lately?
If you keep an open mind, you'll discover dark secrets.
Mirage, new from links, a fresh beginning.
And this looks very promising. He's drifting in from the left. He's over the halfway line, inside one, outside another. He's going all the way! Oh, but what an interception!
Welcome back to the Stadio delle Alpi. Well, our live game Torino Inter will be kicking off shortly, but just to introduce a very special guest today, towering over me to my left, George Graham. You're out here doing a bit of scouting, I imagine.
Yeah, we're out to watch, obviously, Turin before we play them on Wednesday, and there's going to be a good test for them today against Inter.
You've presumably seen them a couple of times already this season, I imagine. Anything you're already on the lookout for, strengths, weaknesses?
Well, I was looking at particularly the first time against Parma about their attacking strengths, especially with the boy up front, Silenzi, and the two who play off him, Franz Scollioni and Carboni. But today I'll be looking at the midfield and especially defenders, although they're without Anoni today, the centre-back.
Well, they lost that game against Parma 3-0, I think. Is there any weaknesses that you're hoping to pick up on that you're maybe hoping to see again today?
No, against actually Parma, I thought Parma were absolutely outstanding in the first half. And I think they were winning 1-0. Second half it was a lot tighter, but they got back to one each. But eventually Parma won 2-1. Parma are a very good side. I think one of the best sides in Italy, if not the world at the present time. So Torino showed a lot more spirit in the second half. They're very much like Arsenal, I think. Very, very strong defensively. And goals don't come easily to them. So it's going to be a tight match, I think, on Wednesday. Well,
of course, you got away with a 1-0 win, I think it was yesterday, over Blackburn. In good shape for Wednesday night's game?
Well, I don't think it was we got away with a 1-0 win. I think it was a comprehensive 1-0 victory. It was a very good performance against a very strong Blackburn side.
Ian Wright will be playing, I imagine, on Wednesday night. I know that Torino are going to be without Silenzi this afternoon. Presumably that's going to make them a very different squad to the one you'll be facing on Wednesday.
Well, I think Silenzi is very much like a typical big English centre-forward, which should suit us, really, because I think Tony Adams, and especially Steve Bold, who were outstanding against somebody like Alan Shearer, and I think Silenzi is very, very similar to an English centre-forward, so I don't think he should create the problems for us. I think probably Carboni and Franz Scollioni is going to give us a problem. Yeah, Francis Scolli. They're going to give us the problems, the two players behind Silenzi.
Okay. Well, listen, you won't have the benefit of Peter Brackley in your ears this afternoon, but enjoy the game anyway. And thanks very much for joining us, George.
Thanks very much. Okay,
speak to you again. Well, George Graham there, who's actually still beside me. But anyway, time now to hand over to our crack commentary team, Peter Brackley and Don Howe.
Thanks, James. George Graham happy enough for the moment then, even if he can't say Francescoli. We'll hope we'll manage that this afternoon. It's a grey afternoon then in Turin, and a chance to assess the challenge that Britain's last survivors in Europe this season, Arsenal, will face in this fabulous stadium in just 4 days' time. Torino's recent problems off the field have been well chronicled, of course, but having been cleared for the European Cup Winners' Cup quarter-final, they'll be hoping to hit form in readiness for the visit of Arsenal. Inter-season has spluttered disastrously in the past few weeks, but they also have a European tie midweek to keep in tune for, even though the championship, for which they started favourites this season, is now surely going to elude them again. Well, not once has Torino's coach Emilio Mondonico been able to select his first choice side this season. His hands are tied again today, with the absentees including the leading scorer Silenzi, who's suspended. They still have very potent attackers though in Carbone and Francescoli, and an outing as well Mondonico has given to promising young striker Poggi, wearing the number 8 shirt there. Well, so many individuals and outstanding ones in the Inter side. It's hard to credit their failure really this season to last the championship pace, but as a team, well, they just haven't functioned consistently enough for all the flair of Sosa and co. Match just kicking off. Torino in the darker shirts, Inter in all white. Bergkamp and Fontaine have joined Berti and Schillaci on the injury list today, but Delano and the Russian Shalimov both returning for Inter. Pass from Yanni. This is Venturin, who probably touches the ball more in any Torino game than any of his colleagues. Very busy player, and it all tends to revolve around him. That's the first assault of the game by Gregucci on Ruben Sosa, who is going to be a marked man this afternoon. Sosa with 13 goals so far this season, 5 in the last 6. And he has an uncompromising marker up against him today in Gregucci, the former Lazio player. Sosa whipping over the free kick. And Delano was the player challenging there at the far post. Only 1 point separating the two teams. Inter in 6th place on 26. Torino 3 places below them on 25. And both still hoping to make an impression on the top order, even if the title is now beyond them. Sosa then with the corner. And well claimed by Giovanni Galli, the veteran goalkeeper of Torino, former Italian goalkeeper, of course. Played in the 1986 World Cup finals, and a great deal of success down the years with Milan, then Napoli, before moving on to Torino. So alongside me then in the commentary box this afternoon is Don Howe. Don, what are your thoughts on how this one will shape up today?
Yeah, I'm pleased to be here, Peter. It's nice to be in the commentary team rather than sitting out there in the cold in Italy. Obviously, these two teams are not really playing well. They haven't got it together over the last few games. As we all know, Inter Milan now have got a new manager in Marini. Bagnoli has gone, very unluckily in my book, but he's gone. And it's all about confidence. You know, they're not getting results, and players do need results to get confidence. And we just saw early on the marking, the Lazio connection. That's Gregucci for Torino picking up Sosa. They're both together at Lazio, and that's really going to be a top-class struggle.
Francescoli to take the corner then for Torino. Well, Zenga couldn't make it. And eventually Inter managing to whack it clear. Only as far though as Fusi, who's the sweeper in the Torino side. This is Musi, very talented player. Most of the time. Fusi again to fuck it up. Musi with the throw. Cut out though by Antonio Paganin. 2 Paganins for Mondonico's side to contend with today. The brothers. Antonio wearing 3. Massimo has the number 2 shirt. Here's Gregucci. Yanni. Wim Jonk, the Dutch international. Linking well too with Shalimov. Here's Delano. Player who's had his problems with injuries this season, Delano. Now Shalimov, who's been out of favour. Good run here by the Russian until he was rather crudely brought down.
And that's what he's good at, Shalimov. Peter, he is good at running defenders with that ball. He's got a lovely little change of pace, change of direction, take players on. Could be a few free kicks around that Torino box, and obviously Sosa will be quite pleased with that. This looks his range.
Well, we've seen so often in the past the menace that Sosa poses from set pieces. Galli only too well aware of that. At 35, the most experienced goalkeeper, still playing in Serie A. Approaching 500 appearances in the top flight. Will it be Sosa? Wim Jonk there as well. Another man who possesses a pretty fierce shot. This is Sosa on the ball. Laid off then to Wim Jonk. The man really who's been keeping Shalimov out of the interside because of the overseas players ruling. Only 3 allowed. But no Bearcat today, so Shalimov getting his chance.
It's quite a surprise, that free kick. Normally you'd get Sosa on the ball and he wouldn't worry about attack. He just hit it from a dead ball situation. He wouldn't want anybody to roll it for him. And for him to knock it to Wim Jonk, who made a real mess of it, it's quite a surprise, that one.
A clattering tackle then by Riccardo Ferri on Carbone, who is very slight, very frail for all his pace and ability.
Yeah, well, that's a nasty tackle. I mean, he completely missed the ball. Carbone could see him come in, and he just let the ball come across his body, and he's going to go up the side of him. And Ferri knew he was beaten and whacked into him.
Well, there's a genuine feeling in Italy that this young man, Carbone, will go on to be a world-class player. Maybe he needs a little more meat on him. He certainly is very fragile, as was shown there, but no question it was a foul.
Peter is the young Baggio. Yeah, he's the young Baggio. He's got those skills. He's got that ability on the ball.
Carbone with the free kick. Now here's Sosa on the break. This is where it was so dangerous. Played in by Paganin. Played wide then by Poggi, bringing Yanni into the play. We'll see plenty of Yanni raiding down the flank when the opportunity arises. This is Yanni now. Now Koes. Venturin. Carbone down again. Coming in for a lot of early attention from the intermarkers. Venturin. Just got in ahead then of Delano. Sinigalia. Play forward then by Fusi to Francescoli. Away from Paganin very easily as well. But now Wim Jonk on the break for Inter. Sosa. This is Jonk fighting Delano. Good pass with the ball, Delano, but not allowed to go any further then, thanks to the challenge by Koes.
Well, you can see, Peter, at both ends, when there's a sign of danger around that D, at both ends of the pitch, they're kind of taking no chance, they're bringing players down. So we are in for this kind of spate of free kicks, kind of 10, 15 yards outside the box.
And it certainly gives opportunities to the likes of Sosa. Jonk wasting that earlier opportunity. Galli checking out the angles ahead of him. Laid off then to Sosa, and it whistled through, but straight into the chest of Galli. I don't think there are too many players in world football, Don, who could hit a ball harder than Sosa.
The power and the pace he gets on those free kicks from virtually a standing position. It's wonderful, it really is, and so accurate as well.
Forward by Paganin.
Talking about Sosa, Peter, it'll be interesting to see who gets up and supports him. I mean, without Bergkamp being there, I mean, we thought before the game perhaps Delano is going to take that role. But obviously he needs support, he needs players getting up to him, because he fights a lone battle up the front for Inter Milan.
Losing out that particular confrontation then with Gragucci. A loud cheer around the ground just now, and not surprisingly, the news is that Juventus are a goal down, away to Atalanta, one of the other important games of the day, and it's Maurizio Gatz, his 9th of the season, and has put Atalanta in front. 10 minutes gone in Turin. No score so far. The other big games today, Milan leaders are at home to Foggia, Sampdoria away to Roma in the Olympic Stadium, Parma at home to Cremonese, Lazio, they travel to Piacenza. We'll of course keep you posted on all the latest scores as we receive them. Carbone then with the corner. Gragucci has come up from the back. Came off Paganin, it's another corner. Torino, who won only one of their last 11 matches in Serie A. Inter haven't won in 4. Included in that run, defeat and a draw in the last 2 since Marini took charge after Bagnoli's departure.
I was quite surprised that they played a short corner. If you remember the first corner of the game, Zenga came out and he made a right mess of it. You'd think, I mean, obviously Zenga's not playing well at the moment for Inter. And you'd think they'd put him under pressure every time you get the chance, Torino. Get that ball in the 6-yard box. See if Zenga has lost his confidence.
Well, he certainly got the blame for Lazio's last gasp winner when we featured them a few weeks ago. It's Carbone now with the corner. Lewis couldn't get his shot in, though. Antonio Paganin. Laid off by Shalimov to Vok. Rather Yonk. In by Orlando. It's Orlando again. Referee Rodamonti from Pescara giving the free kick to Inter.
What's this, Peter, about the 3rd one in the last 5 minutes? Free kicks around that box.
Well, they are so conscious of the threat that Sosa poses. So far, Galli has been equal to it in dealing with the venomous free kick from Sosa, and that one squirms away for a corner. Gragucci, who was with Lazio last season, switching clubs in the summer. Now Sosa. Paganin. Laid off to Delano. Shalimov in the middle. Out by Yanni. Then from Sinigalia. Here's Carbone. Francescoli doing well. But a bit of a misunderstanding, and he's lucky to get a second crack at it here. Now Venturin. Bussi. This is Cois. Venturin away from Delano. Already his industry very much to the fore for Torino in these early exchanges. Down goes Carbone. And play on, says the referee. And 1 or 2 players hesitated then. Roars of derision from the Torino fans. The referee saw nothing wrong.
Well, when the ball got played into the box to Carbone, there's no doubt about the defender was very firm in his challenge, and it looked as though the bodies went in first rather than going for the ball.
He's down on the ground again. He's such a lightweight player, though. You only have to brush him and he's over. And it can't be easy for the referees to decide when it's a foul, when it's not a foul.
Yeah, well, this is where the referee starts to play his part. He's got to protect Carboni. I mean, when you get experienced defenders, like Ferry, like Bergomi, they're not going to take a chance. They understand that Carboni could hurt them. So they'll go in every chance. Now, this is where the referee's got to be strong.
Francescoli touched off to Vetcherin. Torino, remember, without their main striker in Salenzi, who's banned for this game, but he'll be back against Arsenal on Wednesday. Musi. Carbone. Musi getting well forward again. This is Senegalia. Now Yanni. A little bit of space for him. The cross, so easily dealt with by Paganin. Francescoli. Caught then by a late lunge from Delano, which will certainly incur the wrath of the referee. It will be the first yellow card of the game. Delano was very late then with the tackle.
Yeah, I mean, Francescoli, and the thing about it, Francescoli was going nowhere. He was going out towards the touchline. And Delano goes for the ball, but there's no way, he's got no chance of reaching the ball. And obviously, he clips Francescoli's left leg.
Hooking then for Delano.
Nowhere near the ball. I mean, the ball must have been 2 yards ahead.
Enzo Francescoli, who's been revealing something like his best form in recent weeks. He's 32 now. Took a while to settle with Torino in the early part of the season when he was dogged by injuries. But having a real impact now towards the end of the campaign. Made it then by Musi. Delano's booking actually the second of the game. Ferry was cautioned earlier on, so 2 interplayers already in the referee's notebook. Zenga, who's been coming in for a bit of stick from the fans, along with Bergomi and Ferry, the senior players in the side. They've been blamed a bit by the supporters. There was a letter to a local television station signed by Zenga saying that he wasn't to blame. Turns out his wife wrote it.
Well, goalkeepers don't, you know, they look at every goal, they examine every goal, and they always find a way. A defender in front of them should have done better to stop the shot coming in.
Right. Here's Vetcherin. Carbone trying to link up with Poggi. Only Poggi's third start of the season. Known really as a super sub for Torino. Always seems to do well when he comes on. Indeed, he came on in the last few seconds when we featured the match against Sampdoria earlier in the campaign and scored with his first touch right at the end of the game. Vetcherin. Musi. Again, the marking was so tight on Carbone. Being singled out for some very special attention by these uncompromising inter-defenders, Ferry and Bergomi.
Yeah, and it's Ferry more times than not, Peter. Every time Carbone comes into the centre of the pitch, Ferry pushes in and picks him up.
So he's challenging with Delano. Here's Vetcherin. Bergomi, captain of Inter, former Italian captain too, of course. Now played on them by Delano. Maniconi. Good interception, though, by Yanni. Might be something on here, then, for Torino. He's got Carbone streaking through the middle. Now, does he have the pace here to get away from Paganin? The answer was no. Good defending, then, by Massimo Paganin. Reserve defender who's been drafted in because of injuries in the intercamp.
Quite right, Peter. It was good defending. That's what defending is about. Stop the crosses coming in.
Carbone then with the corner. Again, it's a short one to Yanni. Again, no real effect from it. Now Sosa. Drilled delightfully through then to Shalimov. Delano. This is Manicone in the filter role for Inter this afternoon. As we approach the halfway point in the first half. Not too many chances created so far.
No, in general, Pete, I think Carino have had most of the ball with the spasmodic attack from Inter. And obviously, this is where they've been the most dangerous, these free kicks, and yet they've made a mess of them in general. We had one on the target. The Galli took quite well.
Sosa, distance doesn't seem to bother him. Some aggravation going on there in the wall.
30 yards out, Peter.
Someone took the full force of that. I think it was Grigucci.
The fashion of the day now at free kicks is to stop that charger. The defender who's trying to get out and get to the kicker and obviously close the angle down and stop the kick, get the power of the kick going in. Normally, they work on trying to stop that man getting out to the kicker. So you generally, you have a defender on the end of the wall, and in front of that defender, you put an attacker to stop him getting out to the kicker.
Free kick taken by Francescoli, laid off then by Carbone. Francescoli. Venture in. Fusi here in support. Fusi getting the better there almost of Paganin. Out then by Manicone. Here's Cois. Manicone threading it on for Sosa to chase. And a well-timed tackle then by Grigucci. Not a very pleasant sight to see coming at you, Grigucci.
He's a big, powerful defender, and he can stretch those long legs and get those slide tackles in.
News of one other early goal. It's from Cagliari away to Napoli, and the goal has been scored by Luis Oliveira. Goal number 10 for him in this term. Napoli 0, Cagliari 1. Cagliari in 10th place. Napoli a couple of positions above them. Cois with the tackle for Torino. Paganin. Neat piece of skill, but the service wasn't too good, but the shot got through then from Wim Jonk, who really let fly. Good save though by Galli. It's Bergami with the header. Really good effort then by Wim Jonk, who scored 4 times this season, 3 of them in recent matches, after a bit of a sluggish start really to his Inter career. Came of course with Bergkamp from Ajax.
Yeah, and he used to pick up, he used to get into double figures in Holland, Peter. Goal scoring from midfield, Wim Jonk.
This is Poggi now. Closed down by Ferri. Long time out of the game through injury, Ferri. Hoping now to return to his excellent form that made him an Italian international. Free kick given for the foul by Antonio Paganin on Carbone. Carbone, who had a couple of matches out through injury and only came on as a substitute in the Italian Cup in midweek, when Torino went out in the semi-final to Ancona. Lots and lots of chances, but couldn't score. A goalless draw in the second leg, not enough. Now, Carbone with the free kick. Ragucci's header down. Safely claimed, though, by Walter Zenga.
Yeah, he'll be very pleased to get his hands on that ball, Zenga. Get his confidence going.
Shalimov. Now Delano. Sosa ahead of him. Good anticipation, though, by Fusi. Now, how quickly can Torino spring forward here? This is Poggi. No, too easy for Paganin.
It's good when you see the sweeper come out from the back, like Fusi did there, and come out and make that extra man in midfield. Start the counter-attack going, and come and show himself, come and take part in the attack.
Goes. Foul by Antonio Paganin. Certainly the first half has been littered with one or two untidy tackles. Another player that cautioned.
And well done, the referee, Peter. I mean, this lad's taking some almighty stick. And they're sharing across all the defenders. It's a bit cynical, I've got to say this. Like, that was Paganin, other times it's Ferry, then it might be Bergomi. But the referee's doing right. He's stepping in, he's showing the yellow card, so he can't do it again. If he does it again, he's going off the pitch.
Venturin organising the free kick with Musi. Venturin. That was neatly worked there. The pass wasn't clever enough. And it's Sosa springing forward now then for Inter. Yonk to Manicone. Now Sosa. It was Paganin who got forward then, the number 2 for Inter. But the referee ruling in favour of Torino. Now let's get a word at this stage then from Malcolm MacDonald. Malcolm, what have been your early reflections of the match so far?
I think that Torino have shown a great susceptibility to opposing forwards, getting the ball, turning and running quickly at them. It's a great susceptibility, and it's certainly something that I'm sure that George Graham is noting this afternoon. But in turn, Torino are one of the best sides at getting to the dead ball line when they're able to get past the flying tackles 15 yards outside the box that Don was mentioning a little while ago. And when they do get to the dead ball line, some of their crosses are quite deadly. But this afternoon, they are sadly missing the great height of Silencio in the middle. Francescoli, tall as he is, he's not a good player in the air, and a lot of tremendous crosses from Torino are very, very much going to waste.
Thanks, Malcolm. We'll hear from you later on. This is Sosa, touched off then to Delano. Solid defending, though, by Gragucci. Francescoli. Senegalia. Shalimov with the interception then for Inter. In many people's eyes, the favourites then to take the Scudetto this season, Inter. But in the last few weeks, they've faltered badly, and it cost the coach his job, Bagnoli. But they have a big European tie against Dortmund, Borussia Dortmund, to come in the week. Francescoli whipping over the cross. Poggi. It's good skill by him. And just failing to combine with Carbone.
They need more players in the box. I mean, Francescoli, he's a very clever player and he's good on the ball. He's, in many ways, he's a little bit like Carbone. But he doesn't do it close enough to the box. He doesn't get himself into the box. He's not playing 1-2s and running into the box and making it really count. It's all outside the box at the moment.
Another free kick to Inter. Now Now, good news for followers of Sampdoria. They have taken the lead away to Roma. David Platt's team, of course. And it's Roberto Mancini who has given Sampdoria the early fillip they were hoping for. 10th of the season for Mancini. They're in 3rd place. There's Sosa driving it through. Well, he hasn't beaten Galley yet, but my word, his shooting is awesome.
It is awesome. I mean, he must have been 40 yards away there. I mean, normally it would be a chip to the back post from a free kick from that distance. And he's had a go. And the thing about it, I mean, all right, it's been so powerful, but so accurate, it's gone straight to the keeper. It's absolutely fantastic, the power he gets with that left foot.
This is Gregucci with the free kick then for Torino. Good jump by Bergomi. Now Shalimov. Really needs a good game today, Shalimov, to impress the new coach that he's worth keeping in the side. He's certainly been a regular goal scorer from his Foggia days and with Inter last season, Shalimov. But Bagnoli clearly didn't fancy him for this campaign.
Well, what he's got to do, Pete, he's got to keep Fontalan out. And I think Fontalan's been one of Inter's best players this season, down this left wing.
Another man out injured, Fontalan. I gather they are all genuine injuries. They're not just being rested for the European game in the week.
Peter, they can't afford to, can they? I mean, Torino, if they lose a couple of games, they'll be down with the relegation area.
Here's Ferri. Now then to Antonio Paganin. Sosa. Paganin, who's slotting down this left side with Trapazzani. Also a casualty, but he's among the substitutes today, I think. Yes, he is. So Trapazzani not fully fit. May get a run out later on. Does give them some balance down the left, Trapazzani, when he plays. As well as Fontalan. It's a game that's stuttered really so far, not really flowing.
And not giving the goalkeepers enough to do, are they? You know, then the attacks are fizzling out around that box. I know there's been some harsh tackling, but the play around the D and perhaps even getting around the sides, it hasn't been good enough. They've hardly troubled the goalkeepers.
Gregucci. Now Musi. Here's Venturin. Too easily given away though to Vimyok. Now Manicone. Grappling with Marco Sinigalia, a French player really with Torino, but because of the injuries, getting a run out today. Indeed, he has featured in some of the recent matches, but I don't think he's what you would call a first-choice player. Yonk. Led off by Orlando. This is Massimo Paganin. Sosa. Well, that seemed a bit harsh. Gregucci certainly thought so. So another chance for Sosa, maybe to test out Galli.
Yeah, I had my doubts about whether that was a free kick or not. I mean, Gregucci's defended very well this first half. And as the ball was there, his foot was there. You couldn't say he wasn't, for instance, not playing the ball, not putting his foot to the ball.
So more danger for Torino with Sosa hovering. Here is Sosa now, again into the wall though. Delano touched off to Paganin. Shalimov, who was outside, there was no flag there. To the dismay of Musi, but he's got away with it anyway as Shalimov couldn't reach it. This is Musi now. Fusi, former Napoli player. Senegalia to Carbonet. Tumbled yet again. No foul, though. Senegalia. On by Venturin to Francescoli. He was caught then by Maniconi. So many fouls being committed around the penalty box. And a vigorous challenge then by Maniconi to curtail the run of Francescoli.
Half the time, it's just kind of, the tackling is just out of control. And instead of getting there and closing the man down and keeping down and not diving in, they're virtually standing up and just sticking a leg out. And you get players like Francescoli and Carboni, they'll go over that leg and it'll be a free kick.
10 minutes of the first half to go. Francescoli may well try one from here. Carboni there with Venturin. This is Francescoli. And the wall did its job. Cleared then by Orlando for Fusi to collect for Torino. Francescoli. Released by Paganin. Francescoli, exquisite skill. Oh, beautifully done. What a pity then he couldn't have found one of his three teammates demanding a better service. Great run then by Francescoli.
Wonderful ability out on that left touch line. When there's two defenders around him, you know, and he's brilliant at selling dummies, changing direction. He finished up nutmegging one of the defenders there to get through.
Francescoli now then taking the corner himself. Certainly he's been the most dangerous player for Torino so far. Out by Ferri. Sosa almost getting the better of Musi. And Torino getting the free kick.
The delivery on the corners and the free kicks, it hasn't been so good. Considering how many we've had in this first half, no end product at all.
Here's Cois, Italian under-21 international, now Venturin. Francescoli, Yanni had made the run for him away to his left, but again in to break it up with their resolute defending. Now, here's a break from Paganin. Delano in support, and Sosa. Here's Delano. Sosa made the space for him, and the shot flashing wide.
It's going to be a corner, Peter, or it didn't seem as though he got a.
Oh, must have taken
I think the referee's given a corner, but there's no defender got a foot to that ball.
And a yellow card for Gregucci in the midst of all that. That's Massimo Paganin putting his point of view. Well, some confusion, but it was a goal kick, rightly so. Musi's given it away very carelessly then to Delano, and he retrieved the situation by winning it back again. First half riddled with errors, really. Manicone sweeps it on. Vignoc. Again, it was a dreadful pass. Now, what can Poggi do here? Not too much, thanks to the efforts of Manicone. And then Orlando brought down by Senegalia. Really has been a disappointing first half. No two ways about that.
Obviously, Peter, there's a lack of confidence. I mean, the two teams they haven't got any results. And one thing about if you have a couple of wins, the general passing and the confidence in the side always gets a lot better. There's nothing like success to help your confidence of the players. And obviously, they're all making passing mistakes at the moment.
Not too much, I would think, to trouble George Graham at the moment. What do you think he will have read into Torino's performance?
Well, obviously, what he'll have to take into account is how much Salenzi will improve the Torino side. I've got to say this, Poggi hasn't really done as well.
who hasn't been booked yet, but I think might be now. Some of the tackling has been very poor and quite vicious at times.
Well, that was a hard tackle from behind on Podgy.
Well, he went right through him there. And the referee having some difficulty keeping a check on all these tackles now. Yane with the free kick. As Torino search for the opening goal. Gregucci! Well, he won it cleanly enough, but not enough accuracy to bypass Zenga.
Yeah, he knew he had a good chance there. That's why he slammed his hand against the ground. He knew he could get his header in, and I think he thought he ought to have done better.
Orlando persevering down the right now for Inter. One player who recently has escaped the wrath, really, of the Inter fans. Orlando, they're very impressed with his work rate and realise that he's certainly a trier. But they need a bit more imagination, really, now, Inter. Not just effort. There's Delano with the header. No problem for Giovanni Galli. Shalimov. Free kick, though, to Torino. We certainly rely so much on Salenzi's goals. 13 so far, the same tally as Sosa. And although he is a big striker and strong in the air, most of the goals have come on the deck, though. And 12 of those 13 came before Christmas, so if anything, he's had a little bit of a lean spell, Salenzi. Still very much a man to watch for Arsenal on Wednesday. Now, Sosa. Goes Bergamy. You can see, put the fear in the mind of any striker.
Yeah, Peter, what's going on here? You see, both teams have come out not to give anything away. And up to a point, you can understand that, but what he's doing is controlling the general thoughts. Instead of getting hold of the ball at times and playing it like defenders are prepared just to belt it up there somewhere.
Certainly the crowd are beginning to show their impatience now. Carbone to Venturin. If ever a game needs a goal, it's this one. Senegalia. Venturin. More probing by Torino, but to no real effect. Carbone now. Foul on Yanni. The Croatian player certainly gives Torino pace and balance to the side, but he hasn't got away all that often down the left flank. Just once or twice. Now watch for the big number 5 again, Gregucci. Just timing his run in now. He was balked and clearly impeded, and the referee saw another infringement somewhere else.
I don't know what referees see at times. I mean,
well, quite clearly there, the defender.
Well, Gregucci was absolutely surrounded by white shirts. I don't know whether he gave the free kick against Gregucci. I mean, it was a nice outswinger from Yanni, coming away from the keeper. A little bit difficult for Gregucci because it was even in the back of Gregucci at the end of it. But I couldn't see a foul there.
Well, the referee must have spotted something else, Don, I can think of there. On from Delano. Here's Coes to tidy up. Forward by Gregucci. Zenga. Well, that's one way to launch an attack. Delano. On to Shalimov. He's got Sosa up in support in the box. Didn't think he needed him. A very tame effort, really, by Shalimov, who's been low on confidence.
Yeah, well, he's moved back into the side, Peter. It'll take him a while. It takes a game for these lads to get going again. I mean, they don't play for kind of 4 or 5 weeks. And all of a sudden, they're thrown back into the fray, and they just need time to pick up the pace of the game. And, I mean, that was a little bit kind of, he was stretching himself trying to score from that distance.
Carbone. Francescoli away from Manicone. Shot was charged out though by Bergomi. Manicone, now Shalimov. Sosa in pursuit. And the referee favouring Bragucci. Injury time at the end of the first half. And let's hope the two teams can put themselves up in readiness for the second 45 minutes. The words of the song, it can only get better. Senegalia. Looking for Musi, out though by Paganin. Francescoli. Good anticipation though by Paganin. Young now leading the charge with Paganin. Sosa away to his right. So easily read though by Fusi. Francescoli trying to shake off Shalimov, who in the end resorted to illegal tactics to bring him down. Musi. This is Poggi. Again, the final pass simply not good enough.
At both ends as well. I mean, we've just saw a lovely inter-attack and Paganin down this left side. And Delano made a super run. And all he needed was a straight ball into his run. And he couldn't deliver it. And then we come this end. And it looks as though Torino are going to cut something out or create a chance. Here again, final ball. No quality on the cross.
Fusi, who's had an excellent first half for Torino. Now Venturin. Bragucci. Senegalia taking over. Wide of him is Coes. Venturin. Inter with just about everybody back behind the ball. Venturin. Francescoli. It's a packed into defence though. And the ricochet hasn't helped them. This is Poggi! And it squeezed it! Deep into injury time. Torino have struck. It was a scramble. It took a deflection on the way, but Poggi won't be worrying about that.
Well, I think he was knocked down back by Delano as he went in for the ball. And Poggi, he makes a bit of a mess of it. I think his heel, he never makes a connection. But it's one of these bobblers that always beat goalkeepers. The goalkeeper goes for the shot. All of a sudden it bobbles. Zenga misses it, and it just goes inside the post. Misses his first shot completely, Poggi.
I think it actually went in off Zenga. His leg was trailing, and it just caught him. And Inter find themselves a goal down. And that really has brought the crowd to life. A goal from Poggi. His third of the season. And this, remember, only his third start in Torino's colours in the campaign. Venturin.
What a time to get a goal, Peter, huh? Right on half-time.
Francescoli.
They're going to keep that ball now, Torino. No way they're going to give it away.
There is the half-time whistle blown by referee Rodamonti as Torino lead the field to wild acclaim from their fans. Zenga looking a very disconsolate figure, and rightly so. The goal coming in injury time at the end of the first half. to leave Torino leading Inter by a goal to nil. We'll be back after the break with all the other latest scores from around the Italian scene. Join us again in a couple of minutes from now.
Welcome back to the Stadio delle Alpi. We've had 45 minutes of Torino Inter, and the score is now 1-0. You'll have missed that if you missed the last couple of minutes of that game, but let's go through all the half-time scores, in fact, now. Starting off at Bergamo, where Atalanta are 1-0 up over Juventus. Gantz there in the 6th minute of the game. Genoa 2-0 up over Lecce. Ciocci and Onorati, the scorers. The game between Milan and Foggia, 0-0 so far, no goals, but Sebastiano Rossi has now the record of goallessness, if we can put it like that, in Serie A. Consecutive minutes 908, which is a new record, beating Dino Zoff's old record of 903. So well done to Mr. Rossi. Napoli trailing by a goal at home to Cagliari. Oliveira getting his 10th of the season there. Parma and Cremonese 0-0. Piacenza, Lazio 0-0. Roma trailing by a goal at the Stadio Olimpico to Sampdoria. Mancini getting his 10th of the season. And Torino 1-0 up over Inter. Poggi with his 3rd of the season. And Walter Zenga's nightmarish patch of the season continues. And I imagine his wife's probably getting started on another letter even as I speak. Udinese Reggiana, the evening game, so you can see that on Tuesday night's Mezzanotte programme. Right, well, coming up in a minute or two, we'll have Malcolm McDonald's thoughts on the first half here at the Stadio delle Alpi. But right now, it's time for our weekly appointment with the best of last Sunday's action with our golden goals.
Yes, your chance to look at some great goals, all contenders for February's Goal of the Month competition. Paul Gascoigne will choose his top selection from these and others shown over the last few weeks. If you eventually agree with his #1 choice, you could win an Alitalia Italia Tour trip to see the Italian Cup final between Sampdoria and Ancona in April. Remember, the best of these, plus the top goals of the last few weeks, will make up our February Goal of the Month finalists.
Welcome back to the Stadio delle Alpi. The last of the stragglers are just making their way out onto the pitch now. Things are about to get underway, so very quickly, Malcolm, 1-0 to Torino. You're quite happy about that, aren't you?
I'm delighted because of the cynical approach that Inter have taken to the game. They've packed around their area, and anything that gets in there and moves, and it doesn't have to be round and made of leather, for them to just hack it down. And I'm very disappointed in the way that Coach Marin has is going about his job in the very beginning. And so I'm delighted with Torino because they've looked to play some very good football, and it's just that cynical approach which is, for me, has totally spoiled the game.
Well, they have to come out and play a bit more now because they are trailing by a goal. We'll hand back to our commentary team now, Don Howe and Peter Brackley.
Thank you, James. That, in fact, was only the 10th goal that Inter have conceded on their travels this season. Only Milan have conceded less away from home. Orlando, let's hope it does produce a more adventurous approach from Inter then in the second half. Too many players below par in terms of confidence, and here's one in Shalimov, who really hasn't looked the player we saw last season. But in fairness to him, Dons, we were talking about at half-time, he doesn't get too many matches. I mean, if he's not in the team, he's not playing.
Yeah, that's right. There's no reserve team football, you see, in Italy. So I always wonder about these players. They've got these clubs, not only Inter Milan or Torino, but you look at someone like AC Milan with the squad they've got. When do they ever get a game? You know, they train week in, week out without having a game.
Well, certainly Shalimov has looked low on confidence. Delano, another player who hasn't had too many opportunities of late, although in fairness he has been injured, as he was a moment or so ago, but seems to be okay now. As the referee endeavours to usher that wall back. Whistle's gone. I think Sosa will have to take it again. Sosa's kick. Senegalia with a header away, and the whistle had gone anyway for a free kick to Torino.
I always think, Peter, that set pieces, free kicks, corners, are always a bit disappointing in Italy. They just leave it to the individual, you know, and they get a lot of them. I mean, you think today how many free kicks and corners there's been, and yet there doesn't seem to be any planning. It seems as though the individual has got to deliver it or bend it or get it over the wall. You know, you'd think they'd do a little bit more for the sake of it on the training field.
Well, here's Francescoli now. Carbone, who's been tumbled almost every time he's had possession. Coes. Drilled on, but not to a teammate, only to Orlando. Now Manicone. Here's Shalimov. And that'll be a corner to Inter, forced by Paganin. Yanni. Poggi, the goal scorer, dispossessed though by Wim Jonk. Manicone. This is Massimo Paganin. Now Sosa. Fair tackle though, fair challenge by Gregucci. He's played Sosa pretty well, really. Yanni, no, it was out of play. Typically surging run from Yanni.
He's looked a very good defender today, Gregucci. Peter.
Well, we were doubting whether he would hold Sosa, but in fairness he has.
Yes, he has. He's a big man, he's got lovely long legs, he can make slide tackles, he can get his foot across people. And he's very brave as well.
Here's Jonk now. Only Orlando ahead of him. Free kick to Inter. The offender was Senegalia.
I mean, we haven't counted people. Would you say they've had 10 free kicks around that box?
Must be at least. Here's Sosa now to curl one across. Easily turned away, though, by Gregucci, who will certainly tower over anybody else in the box. Gregucci called upon again as Ferry came marauding forward. Laid off by Shalimov to Paganin. Hasn't really posed any danger, though, down that left flank, Paganin. He is a versatile player. He can adopt a number of different roles. But he hasn't looked all that happy going forward down the left. Now this is Delano taking the kick. Came back off Yanni. Orlando in pursuit. Now can he shake off Coes here? Ruben Sosa. That was Bergomi challenging, and Venturin to hook it clear. Good play by Paganin. Laid down by Sosa to Shalimov. The other Paganin making the run here. And it had gone too far.
But close. Looks as though all of the ball wasn't over the line. It has to be.
But that at least was more promising from Inter. And certainly a threat to open up the Torino defence. There's Paganin in pursuit. I think they actually gave him offside there rather than the ball crossing the line. The flag was up just before that.
I think they've got to do that into Milan, Peter. I think they've got to get their two fullbacks down that line, like Paganin and Orlando down this right side.
Yanni's forward pass. Too happy about the goal that went past him. It was a very clumsy, untidy affair, and the ball certainly seemed to go off him right at the death. Yanni. Now Francescoli. Yanni's gone forward, still Francescoli. Poggi, Francescoli with a shot, and Zenga redeeming himself there with an acrobatic save.
Worked himself a lovely shooting position there, Francescoli. Come on to his left foot. Didn't beat the defender. There's no need to beat the defender. Make yourself half a yard. Gets his shot in. Good save from Zenga.
Zenga reminding us there why for 2 years running he was voted the best keeper in the world. Carbonet's corner was very deep to Musi. Venturin. That was sloppy though. Now Sosa. Shalimov on the break for Inter. Paganin joining in. And there was Fusi. Now Francescoli with some room to work in. And the least said about that, the better. This is Vimyok. Delano, former Udinese player. And spun off Yanni though, straight to Francescoli. Carbone, at last able to show his skill. Now Yanni. Had Poggi in support and chose to go it alone. No test this time for Walter Zenga.
He's better on his left foot. Obviously, he's pushed inside, decided to have a go. Nowhere near the target. We saw a lovely little bit of play, mind you, by Carbone in the centre circle to get Yanni away. You just feel as if Francescoli and Carbone get that ball in that D, around that edge of that box. They've got enough ability to get shooting positions, get other players in. They are both very, when they like to be, and when they're on the ball, they're very, very kind of, they've got the vision to see other players going into the box.
A wild lunge by Paganin, which has caught Musi. Paganin, who was cautioned in the first half. I don't think there was anything deliberate there, though. But Musi certainly took the full brunt of the challenge. Musi, who won an international cap last year, the game against Scotland. Hasn't won any since, though. Now, Milan have struck early in the second half. I'll tell you about that in a moment. This is Yanni. Deep cross for Musi. There was some pushing there, spotted by the linesman who was flagging over on the far side. 10 minutes gone. Torino leading by a goal to nil, and Milan are 2 up now. At home to Foggia. Boban and Massaro, the scorers. Milan starting this game 6 points clear at the top of Juventus and Sampdoria. Juventus, when we last heard, a goal down away to Atalanta. Sampdoria, a goal up away to Roma. This is Coes. Good run. What a finish, too, from Coes. Well, that was a brilliant strike by young Sandro Coes.
They don't come much better than that, Peter. I mean, he's made a terrific run. He looked as though he ought to play it off a couple of times, especially out to the right wing. He held on to the ball, worked himself up a shooting position on the right-hand side of the D, right in that top corner. What a great shot. No chance for Zenga.
Well, he scored recently in the match against Genoa, and he's added to his tally in devastating fashion. Terrific run. And Zenga might just have got a hand to it, might have brushed him there.
Oh, that's a wonderful shot, Peter. I mean, he's just worked himself across that, come across the 2 or 3 defenders, onto his right foot, and bang, straight in the top corner.
Torino then 2 goals up, and well, Inter's problems continuing to mount. Change being contemplated down on the bench. One or two picture problems at the moment, which we'll hope to erase. In the meantime, Sosa and Jonk preparing to sort out the free kick for Inter. And Torino taking the opportunity to make a substitution. Sotil has come on. There's Sosa. Again, plenty of power, but no real accuracy on the shot. Andrea Sotil has come on then for Torino. And Carbone has been replaced, so they're keeping him back, I would think, now for Wednesday, Don.
It looks like it. And yet he come onto a good game this second half. Every time he's picked the ball up, especially getting Yanni through down this left flank.
But there was, as I was saying earlier on, a doubt about his fitness anyway, so they're not going to risk him anymore. And they'll be hoping he can turn it on against Arsenal in that European Cup Winners' Cup quarter-final. Aganin, out by Gregucci. And the referee didn't allow the advantage. Mondonico, the coach of Torino, won't be pleased about that. Bit hasty there with a whistle.
Peter gave a free kick against Sosa for backing in on Gregucci, but Gregucci didn't miss the ball, like you say. I mean, he was so powerful.
Played off by Poggi to Coes, whose confidence will be sky high now. There's Musi with a cross, out by Bergomi. Really was a memorable goal by young Coes. A player who's not guaranteed a regular place in the side, but he's done his chances of staying in the team no harm at all. With that, his second goal of the season. Now Jonk. Sosa. Brought down by Gregucci. It was a clumsy tackle as Sosa just drifted past him.
You can see their mates there, Peter. I mean, Gregucci's knocked him over, and I've got to say this, Gregucci should have been booked there. I mean, he just stretched his leg and brought Sosa down, but obviously they're mates off the pitch.
Well, old Lazio players, of course.
Yeah.
They're having quite a battle this afternoon. Gregucci really has been the winner so far, but this time all he could do was bring Sosa down. Inter 2 goals down. We've hit the hour mark now. What has Sosa got up his sleeve this time? Here is Sosa. It was deflected through as Scally scampered across, and it's a corner.
The wall did its job, huh? Got across, got in front of the shot.
Inter eagerly seeking a goal now to revive their spirits. Ferry couldn't make it. Laid back by Orlando. Bussi to hook it on. Maganin under pressure from Poggi. Now Fussi for Torino. This is Massimo Pagani. On by Sosa. Pagani. Somtil wins it in the air. Cois. Inter really have got to raise their game now if they're to get anything out of this. Here's Yonk. Foul though by Senegalia. Now a substitution being made by Inter. Francescoli. Yanni. He's got away from Massimo Pagani. Still Yanni. Poggi was with him. And the combination broke down to the relief of Inter. Another goal then surely would have ended their hopes completely.
Well, you can understand the sub coming on, Peter. I mean, they've got to do something here, Inter. I mean, they're having a very poor second half.
Well, they're bringing on a young striker, which I'll tell you about in a moment. There's Francescoli trying to wriggle the path to goal. Out by Paganin. Coes. Bussi ran straight though into Manicone. Now Shalimov. Sotil with the challenge, so he's settled it pretty quickly. The substitute for Torino, and the man who's come on for Inter is Massimo Marazzina. At least he's about to come on anyway, in place of Wim Jonk. Who really hasn't been as influential as Inter would have hoped, Wim Jonk.
No, I would say this. I don't think Wim Jonk's been a success in Italy. You know, he really is a playmaker in midfield. I don't know how they're trying to get him to play. He looks as though he's got to push forward all the time. In fact, today, I even thought like he's trying to play like Bergkamp.
Well, I think they hoped he would be servicing Bergkamp this season, but hasn't really worked out. Bergkamp began with a flurry of goals, but he'd gone 6 games in Serie A without one. And most of those that he has scored have been from the penalty spot.
At least the sub's a front player, Peter. At least he's going to get there and get up there with Sosa and give Sosa a little bit of support.
This is his first showing in the Inter side, Marazzina. Now this is Yanni. Francescoli wants it prodded on. Yanni's cross, and the header only just wide from Poggi.
Well, you see there, Bergomi never even tried to stop that cross coming in. The cross comes in, there's a header. I mean, Zenga hasn't got a chance. If he goes inside that far post, he's not going to stop it. He threw himself, hopefully, but he couldn't get near that ball.
Well, Poggi only inches away from scoring his second goal of the game.
I don't think it would surprise us if a third goal came, Peter, for Torino.
An unhappy afternoon so far for Inter, whose championship challenge has certainly faded. And they're going to have to play better than this if they're going to get past Borussia Dortmund in the UEFA Cup quarter-final. Though you've seen a fair bit of German football. Dortmund not playing too well either, Don, I don't think.
No, they're not. No, they're struggling as well. They're in the middle of the Bundesliga.
Corner to Inter.
They seem to fall away into Milan. They did exactly the same this time last year. If you remember, they brought Suarez in, the old Spanish player, to look after it until the end of the season, until Bagnoli came.
Here's Sosa with the corner. approaching the halfway point in the second half, which still favours Torino. There's Galli holding on well under pressure from Ruben Sosa. Forward by Fusi. This is Paganin. News coming in of another goal. Napoli against Cagliari, and Napoli have equalised a goal from Fonseca. That's number 14. It's a penalty. And what a great campaign it's been for the Uruguayan star. Delano. Shalimov looked to have handled that. The referee couldn't miss it. But Rossi's missed one for Milan at last. A goal's gone past him. Foggia have pulled a goal back. Kolivanov, it's Milan 2, Foggia 1. Rossi, though, having broken that record of Dino Zoff's for the longest number of games without conceding a goal earlier in the match. And it's Piacenza 1, Lazio 1. Paul Gascoigne side. Piovani for Piacenza and Negro for Lazio. Well, there's a player down injured, but the referee not interested. The other players are. And there's some concern being shown. And we'll take this opportunity to bring Malcolm McDonald in now. It looks a real uphill task for Inter from here, Malcolm.
Yes, it does. They came out in the second half, having changed their positional structure. They had Delano up in support of Ruben Sosa, and Orlando playing very much as an outside right, whereas they've been well retreated in the first half. And that created more space in the middle of the park, and that allowed Cois to make that excellent run with an even better goal at the end of it. But what I must say is that Poggi and Carbone, they made space for the guy superbly. They both made wideish runs from the centre of the D, and they took defenders away, and in taking them away, left a one-on-one situation, and a lovely little sidestep by Cois got him square wide of his defender, and it was a super finish. Now Lazio have changed it, that they've actually put Marazzina up front with Sosa, and they've withdrawn into midfield Delano, and I think they're trying to put a few more bodies into the middle of the park to stop the runs a la Cois.
Thank you, Malcolm. We'll hear from you later on in the second half. I think he got Inter confused with Lazio there for a moment, but we know what he meant. Manicone, as Inter look to play themselves out of trouble. A bit of a dangerous game. They've got away with it, having been awarded the free kick, and this now is their captain, Bergomi. Now Ferri. Musi testing out the pace of Ferri, and he only just stretched to catch him. Then Ferri. Play on, says the referee. But no, they'll have to stop now, as Musi has stayed down. And referees quite rightly won't take any risk of there being a serious injury. Saw a nasty one yesterday with poor old Kevin Gallagher of Blackburn being injured at Arsenal.
Well, what Musi did there, I mean, that wasn't a foul, nowhere near a foul, but he goes to the ball, and Ferri got there first because he was recovering. And Musi fell really on Ferri's outstretched leg, and perhaps his boot, his heel of his boot, either went into his face or went into his ribs.
Well, he certainly was holding his head a moment or so ago, Musi. The referee wants him to get on with it.
I suppose the nicest thing about it all was Paganin, who just kicked it off the pitch so that Musi could have some treatment.
Well, they rightly won't take any chances with head injuries. And it was sporting play indeed by Antonio Paganin. This is his brother now, Massimo. On by Shalimov. Now Sosa. Goes with the clearance, picked up though by Manicone. Shalimov had made the run through. Here is Shalimov. Was he tripped? Well, Shalimov was certainly threatening then. I think the whistle may already have gone before that.
I think he handled the end of the chip. I mean, when the chip came over the defenders and he ran into Shalimov, I think he handled it with his right arm. Peter.
I think that's right. Sotil. Certainly no question of offside against Shalimov, so it must have been that handling offence. This is Shalimov taking the free kick now. Just a little bit more urgency about Inter, and they certainly need that. Paganin's pass. Now Sosa, who has young Marazzina up in support of him. Away by Fussi. This is Paganin. Riding the tackle well. Delano. Shalimov. Hit by Paganin. Good covering by Coes. And get the flag up anyway for offside. Torino warming up Sergio now down on the touchline, so they may well be thinking about bringing him on, an attacking fullback.
Shalimov keeps picking the ball up on that left side. He knocks him out to Paganin, who's gone wide to the touchline. Instead of making a run off that, he checks out, as though he's frightened to go forward, Shalimov.
Well, Inter are trying to go forward now. Sosa taking the free kick and finding Paganin. This is Massimo. Now Delano. Again, a very careless pass by a player whose distribution is normally much sharper than that. Bergomi showing his defensive qualities. Now can he set something up here? It's a lovely ball through, and the flag was up for offside. That must have been a marginal decision there against young Marazzina.
It was a lovely bit of work by Bergomi. I mean, he won the ball, came out from the back, carried it forward, carried it up virtually to the Torino box. Lovely little angle run, but he was offside.
Rafael Sergio then to come on in place of Sinigalia. Sergio, the former Lazio player, who's quite a favourite with the Torino fans, as their acclaim will tell you. And his old club Lazio have now gone ahead. Di Matteo with the second goal for Lazio, the man who scored the winner, of course, against Inter when we covered them 2 or 3 weeks ago. So it's now Piacenza 1, Lazio 2. Lazio on the fringe of the leaders. Maybe their championship threat has gone now, but certainly still in the running for a UEFA place next season. Out by Fussi. Paganin. Here's Sergio, who can operate effectively on either flank, but he's slotted in down the right. Shalimov for Paganin. Here's Fussi. Leading Francescoli. Still Francescoli. On by Poggi, and Francescoli had wandered offside.
Yeah, but he wanted the return ball on the 1-2, Peter, off Poggi. And if he'd have got it, he wouldn't have been offside.
There's certainly no blame really attached to Francescoli. It was the return pass, as Don was saying, that he needed there. A little bit sharper. Musi, 15 minutes left. Venture in. Away from Orlando, here's Yanni. 2 in the box and more arriving. Yanni's cross. Smack back through and wide of goal by Sergio.
Yeah, but a lovely little bit of play down this left flank. And when he gets forward, Yanni, he always looks as though he can get a nice cross in. Sometimes he's just a little bit too heavy with it. It goes beyond the far post. But at least there's someone coming in. And obviously, whether he gets the shot on the target or into the crowd like that, a little touch can send it into the net.
were certainly two Torino players waiting in the middle. If either of those had been found, that would have been curtains in for Inter. Now Shalimov on for Sosa. Shalimov again. Tame finish though. Venturin up to Poggi. Shalimov. Massimo Paganin down for Shalimov. The other Paganin is out wide. This is Delano. Manicone. Now Orlando. 4 Inter players waiting in the box. But a foul then by Francescoli on Manicone. Bergomi.
At least they're trying to work away into that box, into Milan, Peter. They are knocking it around the box. Obviously, at some time, they need a cross, or they need to get it into feet.
Too many defenders in for Delano, but he has won the free kick, which Sosa wants to take, inevitably.
If they could get a goal into Milan off one of these free kicks, they'd be right back in this game.
Bergomi has come up from the back. As Fusi endeavours to organise Torino's defensive ranks. Galli, oh, far too easy. No challenge on him.
Yeah, for a man who can really bend a ball, it was a poor free kick.
Forward by Ferri, seeking out Sosa. Bit unlucky then. Gugucci away. Francescoli. A man who will certainly cause Arsenal problems on Wednesday. What else do you think might have worried George Graham?
Well, I just think that he'll realise that Torino can battle. I mean, they didn't start the game off well, but as the game's gone on, they've played better and they've got in control of the game. Obviously, he'll be aware, Pete, of these, what I call old inside forwards, Francescoli and Carboni, although Carboni's off the pitch at the moment. You know, he needs to get those two lads picked up.
This is Yanni. George Graham will have noted his sorties down this left flank. Now Musi, another player who likes to get forward. Shalimov to touch it back, not very effectively at all, and Zenga had to come out very bravely then. Dreadful back pass by Shalimov. And the courage of Zenga saved the day.
Yeah, it was a tricky situation, this. I mean, he shouldn't be doing that, Shalimov.
Francescoli, Robbo by Massimo Paganin.
Going back to the Arsenal, Peter, what they'll do, I mean, when Yanni comes down this left flank, they'll tuck him inside on his right foot. They won't let him go on down his left flank and keep onto his left foot. They'll just push him inside, onto his right foot, onto his swinger.
Venturin. Under pressure from Sosa, he's lost out. Now Delano. Manicone. Spotted the run then up front of Matazzina, but couldn't find him. Delano to Shalimov. Into 2 goals down. I'm not really suggesting they're going to pull one back either. Really has been such a disappointing season for them domestically, although they are still challenging in Europe. And they went out of the Italian Cup at the quarter-final stage to Sampdoria. Here's Delano. 10 minutes left. Sosa couldn't reach it there because Sergio was in the way, and then Fusi with the clearance. Here's Poggi. Outsmarted by Shalimov. Manicone. Bergomi. Picked up by Fusi. And he'll continue his run here. No, he was caught by Manicone. Now a yellow card.
Yeah, and rightly so, Peter. I mean, he came out, he played a 1-2, and they tried to block him on the 1-2. They didn't catch him then. And then on that second time, Manicone, when he got the return ball off his 1-2, Manicone slid into him.
Well, he's had a very impressive match as Fusi, the sweeper for Torino. Championship winner with Napoli from his days there. And he was certainly threatening with that run before Manicone resorted to bringing him down. Venture in. Just escaped the tackle from Delano. Sergio. Here's Shalimov. Delano. Now Manicone. Inter sweeping forward. Sosa. Gregucci, as ever, was with him.
I don't think Sosa would like to play against a Gregucci every week. He has defended very well.
He certainly kept the Uruguayan very subdued by his standards. There's Sosa. He'll shoot from anywhere. But maybe he hasn't got the right boots on today.
I think he's just been a little bit optimistic there. And he was virtually on the centre circle. It's amazing how a team can get ragged, Peter. I mean, like, at the start of the season, everybody thought Inter Milan are going to definitely put pressure on AC Milan, and they started the season off great. Bergkamp started going, and he looks as though he's going to form a great understanding with Sosa. And yet, as the season's gone on, they haven't got better, they've got worse. And now they look a ragged side.
Francescoli hoping to underline that now. And Zenga holding on this time. Well, they've had a lot of injuries, in fairness to them, Inter. Of course, Schillaci out and Berti, they miss him a lot. Other key players have been absent throughout the campaign as well. But much more expected of Inter, and they certainly have not lived up to expectations.
Well, Peter, I mean, there's such a lack of confidence out there. That's why they're giving the ball away so often.
Francescoli. Manicone for Inter. Antonio Pagani. Bergomi. Sosa to Bergomi. Now, can he deliver the right final pass this time? In goes Delano, and Fusi just got his foot in first. All very predictable, though, Inter's approach play. It was Ferry there who came across.
Since he got that goal, Podgy, he's putting himself around a lot better, Peter, isn't he? I mean, he really has picked his game up quite well. I thought the first 20 minutes, this lad's not going to do it. But he had the luck to get a goal, and it's doing the world of good.
Well-timed tackle by Manicone. Regains possession for Inter. Sosa's layoff. Rather intricate, though. Venturin working hard to get Torino started now. As his team edge towards victory. Fusi. Coes scored that marvellous second goal. Venturin to Coes. Away by Paganin to Sosa. Gregucci's there again. He'll be proud of his display today, will Gregucci. Now Yanni. Podgy. This time it's Coes picking up Ruben Sosa. And picking him up unfairly. Delano. Orlando. Sosa. Good shooting chance and a good save by Galli from Marazzina. Well, he had the confidence to strike for goal, but not good enough to beat Galli.
What Zola is doing now, Peter, he is giving Gregucci a problem marking, because he's come out back into midfield and let Marazzina be the front player. And Gregucci doesn't know how far to go deep with him. He doesn't know how far to go down the pitch to pick him up. He loves it when Sosa's up there where he is now, where he's up and around that box.
Maniconi on for Delano. Galli's drawn out. And that's away for a corner. So at least Inter are posing a few problems now, albeit late in the game. Maybe too late to save it now. Delano with the corner. And the shot way over the bar from Massimo Pagani.
It's got to be the right thing to do what Zola is, Sosa is doing. I mean, he hasn't had a kick really all afternoon, because Gregucci's been there. Every time the ball's been played in, he's been there making a challenge. So what he's doing now, he's going back with the midfield players, and Gregucci now has got a different marking problem. He's saying to himself, do I go down there with Sosa or do I stay here with the defenders? And of course, he puts him in two minds. And it does open up somewhere for other players to run into.
Well, there's good news coming in for Juventus. They now lead Atalanta 2-1 away from home, so the title race stays open, and they of course play Milan next week, a game you can see live on Channel 4. It's our featured game from this same stadium in Turin. Delano now, and it's Baggio who's got that second goal, a vital 1-2 for Juventus. That's his 15th of the season, and it came from the penalty spot. Now, the referee having to deal with a whole posse of irate Torino defenders, led by Fusi. And there's the challenge by Gregucci on Sosa.
Yeah, and he's trying to make it look accidental, and it wasn't. He knew exactly what he was doing, and then he picked himself up and went across the referee and up to say, I didn't see him, it wasn't a foul. I mean, we all know, obviously, and the referee knows that. I mean, that's all right. It's quite clever defending, and some referees would be taken in by that, but this one conceded.
Now there really is danger with the shooting of Ruben Sosa. A bit closer this time. Delano and Shalimov there as well, and Ferry. It's Sosa who's lining up the shot. Here is Sosa now. And that was a really good stop then by Galli. My word, there was some pace on that shot, and Galli got down splendidly to hold on to it. He's got through the wall. There was a big gap there.
It was into his space, though. He held his space. He let the wall do its job. He held his space. The ball came in the space, and he made a good save.
Perfect positioning by Galli.
Yes.
To preserve the 2-goal lead. Almost into injury time. Shalimov laid off to Maniconi. And then by Sosa. Out by Venturin. Now Francescoli. Sergio. On for Francescoli. Tangling with Paganin. And no free kick. No foul. To the obvious disenchantment of the Torino fans. Maniconi feeding Delano. Sosa. Gregucci inevitably was right on his shirt tail as we move into time added on for stoppages. Delano. Inter hoping for a late flourish here. Orlando. He back off Fusi to Delano. Maniconi. Now then for Sosa. No. Fusi able to clear. And the points looking safe for Torino at the moment. They certainly are for Juventus. They've scored again now away to Atalanta. Another goal for Baggio. Massimo Paganin. Messina comes out of play.
No, they're not going to break this defence down. I mean, it's virtually the end of the game, but there's no way Inter Milan are going to break this Torino defence down.
And if they hold on, it'll be only their second win in 12 games, Torino. A much-needed boost before their European clash with Arsenal. And with one or two players to come back into the side as well, they clearly are going to provide quite a barrier for Arsenal to overcome. Not an insurmountable one, though, as George Graham, I'm sure, will be noting. I gather he's left the stadium, so he's seen enough. Got a flight to catch. Fosi.
Well, it's been a good performance by Torino, Peter. You've got to give them credit. I mean, they've took the game to Inter Milan. They had a little bit of luck with the first goal with Poggi. Super second goal. Wonderful second goal. It's been a good win for them. For Inter Milan, well, I think it's back to the drawing board. They might have to go and get themselves another manager.
Coes, this chap will probably get the sack now. He's had 3 games in charge. They don't hang about in Italy.
No, they don't.
Massimo Paganin. It's all over surely for Inter. And they must now set their minds on that UEFA Cup tie with Borussia Dortmund on Wednesday. It certainly won't be easy for them. And they are going to have to step up a gear or two. Delano. And there is a suggestion that Bergkamp won't be playing in that game, by the way, because of his injury. Delano having words with Luca Fussi, who's been my man of the match.
Yeah. Gregucci, brilliant. Peter, I've got to say that. Great defensive game. And the sweeper Fussi. I just wish he'd come out with the ball more from the back, because he can play. I mean, he gets out there and he acts like a midfield player when he gets out there.
Delano, I'm sure, will just knock this one off into the path of Ruben Sosa, and it is not his afternoon.
No, he's going to have to spend a few afternoons getting a few more of those free kicks, getting them a little bit more on the target, keeping the power there. He's had plenty of chances today. I'll bet he's had at least 15 free kicks around that box.
Nothing really, though, to trouble Giovanni Galli unduly. Francescoli. Now Musi. And the final whistle to signal a victory for Torino by 2-0. Poggi almost on the stroke of half-time, and then the second goal, an absolute blinding shot from Coes early in the second half. Torino certainly deserving their win, and as Don Howe was saying, really back to the drawing board for Inter, who again have had a thoroughly disappointing afternoon. Poggi, who's got a facial wound there, but he has certainly played his part in this victory, and he'll hope to play a part in the European Cup Winners' Cup quarter-final with Arsenal on Wednesday. Maybe not from the start with Zelenzi coming back. But the fans showing their approval of Torino's success. Well, let's look back on one or two of the highlights from the game, Don.
Yep.
And, well, we've talked there about the shooting of Ruben Sosa. This was one when at least he hit the target.
Yeah, well, we've seen him do it before. That one was perhaps just too accurate. I mean, you do need a little bit of a bend on the ball when you hit those to beat the keeper. When he has hit them, he's hit them with so power that they've virtually gone straight to the keeper.
Well, here's the goal. It was a pretty untidy affair all round, really. And Poggi really only half hit it, and poor old Zenga won't be too pleased with that.
Well, I've got to say this. That's a nightmare for a keeper, because he goes for the shot, a keeper. He expects the shot. And it's always the bobbling ball that beats the keeper, and it just creeps inside that post. He never gets there, Poggi.
Well, Zenga then distinguished himself with a marvellous save, so it wasn't all sorrow for him. Francescoli, who had a good match for Torino, and here he was shaking off defenders. And how's that for a save?
That's it. He worked himself a good position. Yanni won the ball in the centre circle, gave it for Francescoli. On he comes across the defenders and whack. He should do that more often. He tends to drift wide all the time, Francescoli.
Well, now this is the second goal that really decided it. Coes, who won the ball there, and he had a very determined game for Torino, and it was a marvellous run, capped off with an explosive shot.
Wonderful, Peter. He won it, he ran with it, and then he knocked it in. The coach can't ask for anything better than that. I've got to say this, there was some good running off the ball to take defenders away, to open up the channel for him.
Yes, the path to goal was certainly opened up, and that's a goal he'll treasure for a long, long time. So Torino the winners by 2-0. We'll have all the other scores in just a moment, but I'll first hand you back to James Richardson. James?
Well, a huge roar at the end of the game from the Torino Ultras in the Curva Maratona. They obviously delighted with Torino's performance today against Inter. What ideas do you think George Graham will have taken away?
Well, I don't think he's gone home worried out of his skin for the right result on Wednesday. I think what he's going to impress on his side is that Torino are a side that they don't give up, and that they do, as Coes has shown us today, they can suddenly turn a little bit of magic on, make something out of nothing, and it changes the game. And really, it was the second goal that put Torino totally in command, and then they started to look quite a good side. Yanni gets down the left flank well, and Torino do get in some devilishly wicked crosses, and with Silenzi coming back on Wednesday, they're going to have to be careful of his height. But I think that if Arsenal stay well organised at the back, as they have done for most of the season, I don't think that there are going to be too many problems here for them.
Okay. Well, Torino, of course, the side that came back from 2 goals down against Aberdeen earlier on in the Cup Winners' Cup for a 3-2 win. But moving on from them to Inter, what on earth happened to the super team, the multi-million-pound super squad that was going to dominate Serie A this season?
Well, I feel so sorry for Ruben Sousa up front, because he's such a game little fellow. He's so genuine, and he wants to play. He can score goals, but behind him, there's Shalimov and others who are top players. They've been brought in for a lot of money, and they're just not doing it. They look shadows of what they were before they came to Inter. They're a little bit shaky at the back, and to be honest, I don't think Marini, the coach, has really decided on how they should play. They've played one way in the first half with a cynical approach and kicked everything. In the second half, they've tried to open it up and go forward, and got punished for the space that they left at the back, and I really think that they're a side who are caught between ideas, and it's going to take a lot of hard work for Inter to become a force in Italy again.
Okay, well, just one final thing. You were with us that time at the San Siro when, after that late goal by Lazio, Osvaldo Bagnoli got his marching orders. I know earlier you were saying that you thought he was the wrong person to have been got rid of.
Yes, I do. I think it was a harsh decision, although the axe had been sort of hanging delicately over his neck for quite some time. I think that they should have kept going with him.
Okay, well, time waits for no man, and indeed it is time now for us to pass over back to Peter Brackley for his roundup of the rest of the Serie A action.
So, just running through the other scores then from this afternoon. Juventus have won 3-1 away to Atalanta. Gantz for the home side there, but Conte, and 2 goals from Roberto Baggio, one a penalty, then another one just after that. Final score, Atalanta 1, Juventus 3. Genoa have beaten Lecce, the bottom club, by 2-0. Ciocci and Onorati, the scorers for Genoa. Milan, the leaders, have beaten Foggia by 2-1. Boban and Massaro for Milan. Foggia's reply from Kolivanov. Napoli 1, Cagliari 2, that's Fonseca with Napoli's goal. Cagliari's from Oliveira, both goals there. Parma have beaten Cremonese 2-1. Melli and Zola, Masparo for Cremonese, and Cristiani sent off there, the Cremonese player. Piacenza 1, Lazio 2, Negro and Di Matteo for Lazio. Piovani with Piacenza's goal. And it's Roma 0, Sampdoria 1, Mancini on 25 minutes. The scorer there for Sampdoria. So at the top of the table, we can see that now. Milan 6 points clear of Juventus and Sampdoria. Then come Parma in 4th place and Lazio down in 5th position. The leading scorer in Serie A is Roberto Baggio on 16, followed by Fonseca and Zola on 14. And that's it for today. Next up on the Italian scene will be Mezzanotte on